you're extremely selective and slow in hiring. So like people really have to earn their spot. And then as a result, I got a chance to sit in one of the team meetings where people discuss the different features that are being developed, the different ideas, some of which are at the very cutting edge. And so you get to see behind the scenes how it's possible to have such a fast rate of idea generation. So you generate the idea, you implement the prototype, and then you eventually it becomes an actual feature in the product. And so that's why you have this kind of half hilarious, half incredible fact that for many, as compared to WhatsApp and Signal, you've led the way on many of the features. Many of the features we take for granted now, many of which we know and love, like the auto delete timer. That was 7 years ahead of any other messenger. Message editing, replies. These are all like obvious things. I've even forgotten for some of them that they even were never part. I mean, I think auto delete timer is a really brilliant idea.
We implemented it in 2013 in the secret chats. The funny thing about it is then when other apps started to copy it, like WhatsApp 7 years after, and then Signal and some other of these apps, they initially even copied the exact timestamps. So for example, if we had like 1, 3, and 5 seconds, they would also have 1, 3, and 5 seconds.
Yeah.
They tried not to change it because they were not sure what was the magic sauce behind the feature. And ironically, it happens with many of these things. For example, when we design how you reply to a message and you have a small snippet showing that you're replying to this message and now you're typing your response, then there is a small snippet in the message itself that, if you tap on it, highlights the original message you're replying to. Seems pretty obvious. But there are certain design decisions that we were implementing at the time, and we got this vertical line on the left and all these other small things that are completely arbitrary, right? You can do it in a different way. But somehow the entire industry ended up copying exactly that solution. So now whenever you go to WhatsApp, Instagram Direct, Facebook Messenger, Signal, it doesn't matter. You would see exactly the same or pretty much similar experience, because nobody really wants to take the risk and innovate. If something works, why not just copy it?
Yeah, but we should say that it's done extremely well. The vertical line and the highlighting. I mean, all of these are tiny little strokes of genius. By highlighting the text in a certain way that, from a design perspective, makes it very clear that this part was written before and thing under it is your reply. The distinction between the different formatting of the text. I mean, listen, I know how much typography is an art form. There's a lot of interacting graphic artistic elements inside Telegram that all have to play together extremely well. Like you pointed out to me, this thing that just blew my mind, which is the background gradient of Telegram shifts, it changes, and it adjusts really nicely to the bubbles, the chat bubbles. And then there's like graphic elements on top of the gradient that all interplay together. So all of that has to work really nicely without sacrificing clarity. Everything's just intuitive. That's very difficult to create. That is art. And on top of that, super fast.
That's the hardest part. Like, to make it look so that designers love it is one thing. The real challenge is make it look the way the designers love it and make it work on the weakest devices possible, oldest, cheapest smartphones you can imagine. So if you take the moving gradient on the background of every Telegram chat, this is something most people don't notice, but they can feel it.
Yeah, they notice it subconsciously or something like that. There is a pleasant feeling. There's a feeling. There's a pleasant feeling when you're reading a chat, and that's where the design contributes to that. I think a gradient really does. I really love that about Telegram, the gradient. Not the technical thing you described, but the feeling of it. And then the technical aspect of creating that feeling is incredible. I could probably come up with all kinds of algorithms of rendering that gradient that's going to be super inefficient. And so doing that efficiently is like...
Or efficient, but not too beautiful, because
Right.
even doing something so trivial as a gradient can result in noticeable lines in the gradient that person can instantly say, oh no, it's not the right thing. So you can have to introduce certain randomness there. And then you have the gradient, but it's not enough. It's too plain. You want to have certain pattern as an overlay, but it should be simple enough not to distract you from the content, but it has to be entertaining enough to create a good feeling about the whole app. And another question, what kind of objects you want to include in this pattern and how this pattern would work? Will it be based on pixels or would it be vector based? And would it be vector based so they will be infinitely scalable and high quality? And then I think for the default pattern and the default background, which is based on 4 colors, it's not a gradient based on 2 colors, it's 4 colors, and they're constantly shifting. I probably look through several thousand variations of that. Because it's just such an important decision to make. It's the default back. Of course, you can change it. Actually, you can set up your own 4 colors for that. You can change it.
No way. Really?
Yes, you can do it. And you want to rely on certain deeply hard-coded biological properties of the human mind, right? So which color do you want to use? Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be yellow? Is it going to be green? Because each color has a different meaning in our brain. And what kind of objects you want to put there? Something from our childhood, something from nature, or something that can create a different kind of mood. And this is just one detail of the app. So there are many details. When you send a message, you are done typing a message and you then tap send, and then the message gradually appears in the chat. How does it happen? So you want the input field to slowly morph into the actual message.
To the message, yeah.
And you want this to be done regardless of the contents of the message, because sometimes the width would be different. Sometimes it would be containing media or a link preview or other stuff that will change the message bubble. So you go through countless different scenarios and make sure every one of them works great, even if this message contains 4,000 characters. And then you look at all the platforms, iOS, Android, and all the old devices, all kinds of outdated operating systems and the hardware, and you cross the two because you can have this really bad old phone, but using the newest operating system version. So what do you do? What kind of bugs you get there? And then, of course, since Telegram works on tablets as well, and our iOS version works on an iPad, which I love a lot, you have to understand that everything can be really big, so it can consume a lot of space on your screen. And then it will trigger using more computational resources to render it. So there are a lot of nuances to it. But as long as you obsess over every small detail, at least every detail that really counts, you can get to a user experience. If you're really used to Telegram, if you've been a regular user for at least a few weeks, going back to any other messaging app feels like a serious downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many really magical moments. Like, for example, the way a message evaporates when you delete it, that is a really pleasant experience.
Oh, yeah. And boy, was it hard to make, particularly on Android. This is this Thanos snap effect, right? So the message is broken into tens of thousands of particles, which go away like dust in the wind. It looks great, but it was so hard to make.
Probably one of my favorite GUI graphical things. It's just art. It's pure art. It's like incredible. So it's good to hear that it's been really fought over and thought through. It's just extremely well done.
No, you can't pull it off if you're not going deep in this. And then you don't want to distract people from their communication with all this additional animation. So you want them to be invisible in a way.
They create the feeling, but they don't create distraction.
Yes. And in order to do that, you have to overcome even more challenges. For example, you mentioned this deletion effect, message evaporates. If you do the animation, if you show the animation first, and then the message that is preceding the deleted message that is going after the just deleted message move closer to each other, then it doesn't feel right. It feels too long, too imposing. So what you want to do is you want the message disappear while the messages around it go closer to each other to fill the resulting gap. And then you imagine what it involves. Redrawing the entire screen. So on top of this very complicated animation, you have to think about things like which kind of messages were there before it, after. That just adds to complexity.
And once again, on all kinds of devices, all kinds of operating systems, all kinds of tablets, phones, desktop, all of that.
But once you accomplish it, it gives you this immense sense of pride because nobody is doing this. Nobody really cares. In a way, maybe they're right not to care. Maybe nobody notices this, but there's something about it that feels wrong when such things are neglected because I understand that every day, tens of millions of people around the world deleting messages. What kind of experience they get? Is this an experience that maybe even subconsciously inspires them and makes their hearts sing even a little bit, fills them with joy, lightens up their mood even a little bit by 0.001%? Or is it something that is just basic? And I think if we can bring some value in people's lives, even through these subtle details, we have to definitely invest our time in it.
And some joy, not just sort of value like productivity, but joy. I think Steve Jobs, Johnny Ive talked about this. They would put so much love and effort in the design of everything, including things that weren't visible in the initial PC personal computers, because they believed that you somehow, through osmosis, the users will be able to feel the love that the designers put into the thing. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's not about deleting messages. Like, I feel a little inkling of joy when I see that evaporation animation. It's just nice. I'm happier because of it. And so I feel that effort. And I think, billion users feel that.
People like when other people care.
Yeah. 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 That's exactly what it is. And of course, there's the more sexy things like all the emojis and the stickers, the gifts. Many of those are just, they're little art pieces.
That's again an intersection of art and technology. Because if you look at the stickers, which Telegram launched way before most of these other apps,
3 years and 8 months ahead.
ahead
Yeah.
of WhatsApp, yes. But the stickers that WhatsApp ended up launching 3 years and 8 months after were not, the first version was not really good because they just did regular GIFs or WebM videos, which were not based on vector graphics. What we did is vector animations. Each of these stickers is only several kilobytes, sometimes maybe maximum 20, 30 kilobytes in size, but it says 180 frames. We were able to run them at 60 frames per second on all devices. And it's also very challenging. It was a challenging thing to do. We had so much headache trying to make it work. Nobody even tried to do anything like this before us because it's crazily difficult. But as a result, you have these fluid animations. You have this really nice user experience. Somebody sends you a sticker, you don't have to wait for it to load because it's so lightweight. And it starts moving instantly. And then, of course, it's not just engineering. You have to find designers that are able to create these stickers using vector graphics, which means they're based on curves described by formulas, not just created as photographs with pixels. Where do you find these people? Again, we did competitions, but it was not easy to assemble a team of artists slash engineers, I would say, that are able to do something like this. This is a unique form of art. And this allowed us to do a revolution in stickers, then another revolution in animated emoji that you can add into messages, custom animated emoji. I don't think anybody did that. I think Telegram is still the only one allowing users to do that because you can include 100 of animated emoji in a message and they will be animated and they will be moving and your device won't crash. It's probably unnecessary and crazy, but we think somewhere in this intersection of art and engineering, true quality is created. And then, of course, more recently, we expanded into what we call Telegram gifts, which are essentially blockchain-based collectibles that you can demonstrate on your Telegram profile so that they get social relevance, but you can also use them to congratulate your friends and close one with their birthdays and other holidays. And that was received extremely well.
Yeah, they can hold value. They can increase in value. You could trade them for that in that aspect. But to me, still the the vector graphics, and it's not just simple graphics. It's incredibly intricate graphics. So the vector makes it very efficient, but it also allows you to create. Maybe incentivizes the artist, enables them, incentivizes them to create super detailed, intricate elements. And then the final result, like you would think it wouldn't matter, but the final result has like a lot of stuff going on. And it allows you to scale on arbitrary devices. And now it's like this little, like usually GIFs from like back in the day and still in meme form are low resolution. And so that usually people don't put details and intricate art into it. But here with vector graphics, it's like a million things going on. And it allows you to play with different animations. Like you showed me this thing where you send and you hold for a while on the send button. And so you can share with the person you send a message to this animation that you've encoded. Like there's a bunch of stuff going on when they read the message.
Yes, we have a lot of features like that when we use this art to allow people to express themselves. And most people don't even know about these features.
I didn't know about it. That was cool.
The other application of the same technology is reactions on Telegram, because we made it a goal to make sure that people feel joy when they just send you a like. Something so trivial as just adding a like to a message should be an action that you want to perform again and again and again.